A woman was walking inside a busy shopping mall while using her phone, completely focused on the screen and not paying attention to what was happening around her. The mall was crowded that day, with people moving in every direction, families shopping together, children running around, and store employees trying to help customers. She had one hand holding her phone and the other holding a small shopping bag, and she looked very busy as she kept typing messages while walking forward without looking up even once. As she walked through the main hallway of the mall, there was a large glass door in front of her that separated two sections of the building. The door was very clean and clear, so from a distance it almost looked like there was nothing there. Many people who came to the mall for the first time sometimes got confused because the glass was so transparent that it was hard to notice, especially if someone was not paying attention. Right above the door there was a small sign, but she was too busy looking at her phone to see it. She continued walking at the same speed, smiling at something on her phone, probably reading a funny message or watching a short video. A few people nearby noticed that she was not looking ahead, and one man even slowed down because he thought she might hit the door. Another woman standing near the entrance looked at her and then looked at the glass door, already guessing what was about to happen. Everything happened very quickly, but at the same time it felt like slow motion for the people who were watching. Without realizing anything, she walked straight toward the glass door and suddenly bumped into it with her shoulder and forehead. The sound of the hit was loud enough that several people turned their heads at the same time. Her phone almost slipped from her hand, and she quickly grabbed it before it could fall on the floor. For a moment she just stood there, completely surprised, trying to understand what had happened. Her face showed shock and embarrassment at the same time. A couple of people nearby tried not to laugh, but it was difficult because the situation looked exactly like something from a comedy video. One young boy covered his mouth to stop himself from laughing, while his friend looked away pretending not to see anything. The security camera above the door was pointing directly at the entrance, recording everything that had just happened. If someone watched the footage later, they would see her walking confidently, then suddenly stopping after hitting the glass, and looking around to check if anyone saw her. She quickly looked left and right to see if people were watching. When she noticed a few people smiling, her face turned red with embarrassment. She tried to act like nothing happened, fixing her hair with one hand and adjusting her bag with the other, as if she had stopped on purpose. For a second she even looked at the door carefully, touching the glass lightly as if she wanted to make sure it was really there. After that, she slowly pushed the door open this time, making sure not to hit it again. As she walked through, she kept her head down and pretended to look at her phone again, but now she was clearly paying attention to where she was going. The people behind her started laughing quietly after she passed, but no one said anything loudly because everyone knew that moments like this can happen to anyone. On the other side of the door, she stopped near a shop window and took a deep breath. She looked at her reflection in the glass and smiled a little, probably feeling both embarrassed and amused at the same time. She checked her phone again, maybe to make sure it was not broken, and then put it in her bag instead of holding it while walking. This time, when she started walking again, she looked straight ahead, carefully watching every step. A security guard standing near the hallway had also seen everything. He tried to stay serious, but a small smile appeared on his face. He looked up at the CCTV camera for a moment, as if he already knew that this clip would look funny later. Situations like this happened often in the mall, but every time it was still funny to watch because people always thought they were safe until the last second. Meanwhile, the woman continued walking through the mall, trying to forget what just happened. She walked a little faster now, probably hoping to get away from that area before someone she knew could see her. A group of teenagers passed by her, and she immediately looked in another direction, worried that they might have seen the accident. She tried to look calm and confident again, but her quick steps showed that she was still feeling embarrassed inside. After a few minutes, she stopped near a clothing store and started looking at the dresses on display, acting like she had come there for shopping all along. Slowly, her expression returned to normal, and she even smiled again when the shop assistant greeted her. It looked like she decided to forget the moment and continue her day like nothing happened. Somewhere in the security room, the CCTV screens were showing different parts of the mall at the same time. On one of the screens, the short moment when she hit the glass door had already passed, but if someone replayed the footage, it would definitely look like a perfect instant regret moment. Walking while using a phone seemed normal, but sometimes one small distraction was enough to create a very embarrassing situation. The mall returned to its normal busy atmosphere, with people walking, talking, shopping, and laughing. No one talked about the incident anymore, but for the people who saw it, the moment stayed in their memory as one of those small funny accidents that happen in everyday life. And for the woman, it was probably a reminder to always look where you are going, especially when there is a very clean glass door in front of you. A girl walked into a small and busy cafe in the afternoon when the place was full of people talking, drinking coffee, and enjoying their time. The cafe was popular because it had a calm atmosphere, soft music playing in the background, and large glass windows that let the sunlight come inside. Many people were sitting with their friends, some were working on laptops, and others were waiting for their orders. The girl looked like she was in a hurry but also a little distracted, as if she had many things on her mind at the same time. She was holding her phone in one hand and her purse on her shoulder, looking around to find an empty seat. After looking for a moment, she noticed a small table near the corner where one chair was empty. The table was next to a wall, and the chair was slightly pulled back from the table, making it look ready for someone to sit. She walked toward it quickly, smiling a little as if she was happy to finally find a place to sit. A waiter passed by her carrying a tray of drinks, and she moved slightly to the side to let him go, but she kept looking at her phone again while walking the last few steps. When she reached the table, she did not check the chair properly. She just turned around, still holding her phone, and tried to sit down in a fast and casual way like people usually do when they think the chair is right behind them. At that exact moment, the chair moved backward a little because one of its legs was not placed correctly on the floor. The movement was small, but enough to make her miss the seat completely. Instead of sitting, she suddenly lost her balance and fell straight down on the floor. The sound of the chair sliding and her shoes hitting the ground made several people turn their heads at the same time. For a second, everything became quiet around her table. The chair rolled slightly to the side, and her purse slipped from her shoulder onto the floor. Her phone almost fell from her hand, but she held it tightly as she tried to understand what just happened. She stayed on the floor for a moment, looking surprised and a little shocked. Her eyes went wide, and she quickly looked around to see if anyone saw her fall. Unfortunately for her, many people had already noticed. A couple sitting at the next table stopped talking and looked at her with concern, while two girls near the window covered their mouths, trying not to laugh. A man working on his laptop looked up for a second, then looked back at his screen, pretending he did not see anything, but a small smile appeared on his face. The girl realized that everyone around her had seen the fall, and her face turned red with embarrassment. For a second she did not know what to do, but then she started smiling, trying to act like it was not a big deal. She gave a small awkward laugh, as if she wanted to show that she was fine and nothing serious happened. She picked up her purse from the floor, brushed a little dust from her clothes, and slowly stood up. The chair was still behind her, slightly out of place. This time she looked at it carefully, holding it with one hand to make sure it would not move again. She pulled it closer to the table, checked the position with her eyes, and then sat down slowly, making sure everything was correct. Some people around her looked away quickly when she sat, pretending they were busy with their own conversations, but the atmosphere still felt a little funny for a moment. A waiter who saw the fall from a distance walked toward her and asked politely if she was okay. She nodded quickly and smiled again, saying that she was fine. Her voice sounded a little shy, but she tried to stay calm. The waiter adjusted the chair slightly to make sure it was stable, then left after she thanked him. After sitting down, she placed her phone on the table and took a deep breath. She looked at the menu in front of her, but for a few seconds she was not really reading it. She was probably thinking about the fall and hoping that people would forget about it soon. She looked around once more, and when she saw that everyone had returned to their own activities, she relaxed a little. At the table near the window, the two girls who saw her fall were whispering to each other and smiling, but not in a mean way. It was the kind of smile people have when they see something funny but also know it could happen to anyone. Even the man with the laptop looked up again for a moment and then continued working like nothing happened. The cafe slowly returned to its normal sound of quiet talking, cups touching plates, and soft music playing. On the ceiling above the corner of the cafe, a small security camera was pointed toward the tables. It had recorded the whole moment from the time she walked in, to the second she tried to sit, and the exact moment when the chair moved and she fell. From the camera view, the scene probably looked even funnier, because it showed her walking confidently, turning without looking, and then suddenly disappearing down as the chair slid away. It was one of those moments that people later watch again and again because the timing was perfect. The girl finally started to feel normal again. She fixed her hair using the reflection in the window, then checked her phone, this time holding it carefully while sitting. When the waiter came back to take her order, she spoke normally and even smiled, as if the embarrassing moment never happened. She ordered a drink and something to eat, then leaned back slowly in the chair, testing it once more before relaxing. After a few minutes, she even laughed a little while reading something on her phone, showing that she had already started to forget the accident. The people around her were busy again with their own conversations, and the cafe looked the same as before, full of normal everyday life. Moments like this were small, but they stayed funny because they happened so suddenly and without warning. One second everything was normal, and the next second someone was on the floor because of one small mistake. The girl learned to check the chair before sitting, and the people who saw it got a short funny moment in their day. The security camera kept recording quietly, ready to catch the next unexpected moment that nobody planned but everyone would remember.